complains. He complains that the people simply do not understand. What do I talk to these people about? They don't even know the basics of Islam. And so he complains to Ziyad ibn Abi, who was really the right-hand man of Muawiyah. And Ziyad comes to see for himself. So he comes to the masjid on a Friday, and it was the responsibility of the Amir to give the khutbah. And he wanted to know what was going on, where people's minds and hearts were at. And so he appears, Ziyad, he appears, and he says, "Oh people, your Amir was very busy last night. He stayed up last night, and he won't be showing up for the prayer. So he cannot deliver the sermon." And there were a number of prominent tribes that were there. He says, why don't I suggest something? Why don't we nominate someone, one of the leaders of the tribes, to perform the khutbah, to give us some maw'idha, something, anything. I mean, a khutbah can be as simple as mentioning a verse of the Quran from the top of your head and simply explaining what it means. So one of them stands up, very hesitantly, and he begins his khutbah. When he begins his khutbah, he says, "Alhamdulillah, alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard fi sittati ashhur." Meaning, praise be to Allah, the one that created the heavens and the earth in 6 months, not 6 days. The Quran says 6 days. He says in 6 months. So they brought him down. They brought a second guy. Now, the second guy, he's full of anticipation. He's nervous. He doesn't want to screw up like the first guy, so he can't say anything. And they bring him down. The third guy goes up, does the same thing, and the third guy, he turns to him, he says, "Listen, all I can think of saying is this, is that it was not my intention to be here today. My intention was to stay home, but my wife, she said, there's a lot of thawab and there's a lot of reward in attending the Friday prayer. And so she insisted that I be here, and because she insisted, she is the cause for me being here. Thus she is the cause for my embarrassment. Thus all of you bear witness that I have now divorced her." And this was the state of the Muslims at the time. It's humorous, but it's also sad. You don't know whether to laugh or to cry or to weep. This was the philosophy and the teachings of Banu Umayyah and Banu al-Abbas. They could care less who accepted the message of the Prophet. They could care less who accepted the message of the Islam. In fact, research shows us that the reason why they were vigilant about opening up the path in North Africa and spreading Islam through North Africa is that so they would have easy access to Europe through Spain. Why? Because slaves that were brought from Spain and Europe were sold for a higher price than the slaves that came from Africa. Because they were a different skin complexion, and thus they were more attractive to be around the home. What did they care for Islam? What did they care for the message of Islam? We are told of one of the Khulafa, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. He was a reciter of the Quran. And as soon as he found out that his father, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, died and that he was to be the Khalifa, he closes the Quran and he says what Khidr said to Musa when they parted ways. He said, "Hada firaqun bayni wa baynak." This is the last time we will meet. This is the last time you and I, to the Quran, will know one another. And this is how they ruled. And yet today you have people that refer to Banu Umayyah and Banu al-Abbas as fuqaha, as scholars. You have those who refer to al-Mutawakkil, the one who in his 17 years of rule tried to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein almost 20 times. They refer to him as Muhyi Sharia, the one who revived the Sharia, the one who revived the faith. And one of the ways that he tried to destroy the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was by redirecting the Euphrates River towards the grave. And when the water came to the grave, instead of going through, it miraculously began to circulate around it and go the other direction. And this circulation of water around an area is referred to as ha'ir. And so those who refer to themselves as ha'iri, they come from, what it means is that they are from that area. Al-Ha'ir al-Husayni refers to the area where the water refused to go through, but rather it went around. And when they saw that did not work, what did they begin doing? They began punishing the visitors of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They began punishing the visitors of Imam alayhi salam by amputating their arms and their legs. And even though their arms were amputated, they would come back. Another limb would be amputated. They would come back the next year. Another limb would be amputated. They kept amputating limbs, and those that, of course, survived, not everybody survived, but those that did survive, they had such a determination that they came back. And when you fight against the lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Hussein has instilled, none of us saw him, none of us met him, none of us fought on his side, but all of us love him with a deep love and an admiration. That you can take away anything from us, the thing that you cannot take away from us is the love of Hussein alayhi salam. That cannot be taken away. Al-Mutawakkil had a tutor for his sons. This tutor went by the name of Ibn Sikit. And Ibn Sikit had a love for the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And so one day, he realizes this, Al-Mutawakkil. So he summons him. He says, I hear that you have a love for Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, yes, so what? He says, I'll ask you a question. Let me ask you one question. He says, do you love the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib more, or do you love my sons more? Ibn Sikit says, not only do I love the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib more, he says, I love Qambar, the slave of Ali ibn Abi Talib, more than I love your sons. Who are your sons? Who are your sons compared to Qambar? And they cut off his tongue, and he bled to death in a ditch. But this was the love of Hussein alayhi salam. A narration tells us that if God grants her a son, she will raise that son to be a bandit who works in the path of the visitors of Hussein. So every time there are visitors going to Karbala,